Well, 1:10 or so. Seems to be about my regular time so far. Um, it's after I'm back from my mid morning walk run. I have something to eat, usually my big meal. I try to wrap things up, all of my eating, by between 3 and 4. Um, and then it's basically a fast until morning, close to 7, about 6:30 or so. I eat, which sounds early, except I've been up since 4. I've already gotten a long walk in and yoga and joint mobility. Um, so that seems to work out well for me. Hey, Duncan, how are you? Talking a little bit about my morning routine, getting my last meal. Um, I'm doing pretty good. Uh, I get my last meal between 3 and 4, and then I fast until 6:30 or so, which I was saying sounds early. You know, breakfast at 6:30 sounds regular, like I haven't been fasting, but it's about 14 plus hours by the time I eat. I used to fast for 18 to 20 hours every day, um, but some issues that developed, um, breath wise, esophagus wise. Um, no idea why it happened. It's slightly better now. Well, actually, that's not true. That I don't know how it happened. Um, I appreciate you stopping by. There's no telling how long I'm gonna ramble on for. Um, it's one of the mysteries of the universe is how long I talk and why I talk to begin with. Um, but there's a good chance that I might be. Um, if not, I will be meeting again tomorrow. If you um, if you have a good time, uh, let me know, and we can schedule something this upcoming week, and maybe we'll have a chance to chat together. I'm looking forward to getting that taken care of. Both you and I having a conversation, and also Aldo, uh, Crusade Motivation Fitness. Him and I are going to have a talk, and maybe the three of us can actually have a talk. Um, all three interesting backgrounds. It would be good to uh, cover some fitness grounds between us. Um, yeah, let's see. Um, Interesting, Duncan. Duncan says that he has a few questions, interesting questions. Something he was asked years ago, supposed to be an insight into one's own personality. It sounds interesting. Also, it sounds a little scary. Um, Delving into my personality um, may be shocking to all, most especially myself. Um, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we have here. I don't mind answering publicly. Well, we'll see. I might have spoken too soon. Um, but generally, one of the things that I um, started doing live was the same way that I write, that I just put it out there. Um, I don't hold things back too much. No need. My life is pretty much of a open book. What would be your favorite pet and 3 reasons why? Um, Interesting. It'll be interesting for the whys. I have 2 cats, adopted cats. Got them last year when they were 10, so I guess they're 11 plus. Um, and I absolutely love cats because they generally leave me alone most of the day and come see me when they want attention, and I'm always happy to give it to them. But it's on their terms. Um, I appreciate anything that lives life on their terms. Having said that, my favorite pet is a dog. Um, Maybe for opposite reasons, because dogs. Let me give 3 reasons why I like dogs. sort of off the top of my head, or why I prefer. I don't want to say I like dogs because I do. I love dogs, but I also love cats. Um, I love all animals, obviously. Being a vegan for ethical reasons, I absolutely love cows. Cows are the were the spark that lit the vegan fuse. Um, but for dogs, maybe it's because they demand my attention, because I need to actively care for a dog, and it brings me down from my own self importance. Dogs are maybe the greatest spiritual teacher that we have, because this is reason number two: they show unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness. Not even forgiveness, forgiveness in the truest sense, in which means that what we think happened didn't actually happen the way we think it did. Dogs know that. They might be a little weary if something happens that goes against their sense of how things should be, but they are eager to forgive and return to the normalcy of showing you love, unconditional love. So there's two reasons right there. And I will get to the third, but let me reiterate the two: that dogs demand my attention in a good way, in a good, positive way. I need to show them that I love them. I need to show them that I appreciate them. I need to be there for them, with them, as a companion, part of the pack, part of the family. I can't just do what I do with my cats. Um, Instantly forgive when they are shown love, Mocha says. Thanks for being here, Mocha. Um, I agree, but you know what? I think even deeper, that they instantly forgive. It doesn't mean they don't hold the memory of mistreatment. That's a little something different. Um, and my third reason that dogs would be my favorite, off of the top of my head, is because they feel like family in a deep sense. I've always had dogs. The familiarity of being with a dog, nothing beats it. Dog can truly be your best friend. Um, my favorite form of water, and three reasons why. It's the three reasons why. Milka McCarty says oceans. Um, that's true. And she also says forgiving doesn't mean that they forget. And I completely agree with that. As it should for all of us. We can forgive anything, it's already instantly forgiven. It doesn't need our approval to do so. It doesn't mean that we forget and that we allow the same thing to happen all over again. We're in a current situation where, politically, socially, that we have forgiven, but we're not going to forget some of the things that happened in the past, because we don't want them to happen again. We want to be educated. We want to keep expanding our consciousness to allow a better way of life for everyone. My favorite body of water is actually a river, although I might include streams. And Mocha knows what I'm going to say next. Creeks. Creeks. Um, Moving bodies of water. Um, the reasons why: the sound. I love the sound of moving water. Reason two: the motion. I love watching them. I love watching the um, possibility of how they move, the different speeds that they move, the fact that in some areas they stop, other areas it continues going. And the third reason is what occurs within. I could probably name more. What occurs within a stream: the polishing of stones, the that, as the Greek philosopher, and his name is escaping me now, uh, you can't bathe in the same river twice. It's always in motion. It's always moving. Um, the third question: if you were in a room with no doors or windows, which was entirely white, 3 emotions you would feel. I'm visualizing that. And of course, that having said that, or having read this, that I could be entirely wrong once I am placed in that room. And trust me, many people have said that I belong in a white room with no windows or doors, and they suggest the possibility that it be padded as well. Uh, I take that personally, or as a comedian might say, I resemble that comment. Um, what I might feel is padded. Okay, padded for me, but not padded for anyone else. What I would feel in that room, a sense of isolation, but that's not necessarily bad for me. So I'll say a sense of isolation, and then maybe later I'll circle around and say why it might not necessarily be um, too bad. Mocha says with a jacket that helps you hug yourself. Um, yeah, that has been suggested. Um, good morning, Lewis. How are you? I haven't seen your workout yet today, but I will be checking out YouTube after the video. So, and Duncan says no jacket either. um, Duncan, you might want to defer to Mocha on this, as she knows me quite well. If she says pads and a jacket, it might be in the best interest. So, sense of isolation was my first reason. Um, Reason number 2 would also be a sense of safety that um, I am in a place that closely resembles pure white consciousness, light, that um, I am in spaciousness itself, that there are truly um, the walls, the whiteness portrays an illusion of walls, and it's just the comfort of space. So isolation, comfort, seems like 2 opposing things. They can be, maybe they would be. Um, and third, in that room would also be a sense of being held, a sense of being in a spot that is enclosed for reasons of not division, but of perhaps safety. Those are good questions when you ask the whys. It reminds me in uh, Buddhist and Sufi psychology, when you are doing dream work. And what you do is you write down what you remember from your dream, and then you take first line, and then you just free write, free verse, whatever comes to mind, and you write that. And you proceed down there, or from anything that you wrote, you can take any section and continue writing from there and just see what unfolds and what unfolds, and asking yourself those 3 questions, but more importantly, the 3 reasons why. I can see how it forces you to explore the different avenues of our thinking. And the qualities of the pet, Duncan says the first question and the qualities for the pet and the qualities of your ideal life and partner. I'm not too far from living my ideal life, with the exception of just a little concern as far as making a few ends meet. But I get up every morning and I almost do exactly everything that I want. Not that doing what you want is always the ideal life, but doing what you love is pretty ideal. Um, oh, Let's see. My ideal life partner. Interesting. You know, there's so many ways of asking that question. So I'm going to assume that there's three reasons why for that as well. Um, Honestly, at this point, I'm going to say that I am my own ideal partner, and that anyone who enters my life um, falls within that extension. That I am with somebody, I'll choose someone to be there with me because I am learning as well as earning my own sense of completion. And that until I can actually uh, realize that, and by realizing that, I do crack myself up. Mocha says, you crack yourself up, and I completely agree that I do. Until I can be at the point of uh, my own sense of completion, my own ideal partner, my own best friend, my own ideal companion, um, I have little to offer anyone in a sense of um, true love. However, someone who knows how to push my buttons brings out that sense of completion. Someone who also doesn't demand me to be anything other than who or what I am, and yet at times wishes that I were different. Again, that's part of pushing the buttons. That way, they're not her buttons, they're my buttons. And unless they're pushed, I don't see them. I don't recognize them. I have no way of self actualizing beyond those buttons. I just continuously react and react and react. So ideal partner is someone that teaches me how to respond, teaches me to be kind, teaches me to be me for all the possibilities. Some of those possibilities aren't great. Some of them are. That's life. So there you go. An ideal partner is someone who walks beside me. And it occurs to me that I just described Misty, the Pomsky, Mocha's dog. So it goes back to the first question. Mocha, did you hear that? Misty is my perfect life companion. I, that's so easy to see, really, that being your own best life companion gives you room to love someone else. It took me a long time to get there. Um, I am there, and I'm not, if that makes sense. There's always room for what seems like a regression, but it isn't regression. It's just further lessons. It's just further expansion. It's just showing me more of how much I can love. That's a wonderful way of looking at it, in my opinion. Showing me more how much I can love. Is there a limit? I haven't found any. Um, I I've been with Mocha in every different form of a relationship for 21 plus years now, and it covers every single thing, everything, pretty much. And my feelings towards her change a bit, as feelings do. My love for her has never wavered a bit, ever. Two different things. Feelings and emotions are not love. the feelings and emotion. Love is itself. It doesn't rely on anything. It doesn't rely on what you do for me. It doesn't rely on what I can do for you. It just is. Without all those ups and downs, I don't know where we would be, but it would not have provided me the opportunity to get to know myself as unconditional love. So that's the greatest gift. The greatest gift isn't the opportunity to be in a relationship that is constantly um, wonderful or even constantly challenging. The greatest relationship is one that teaches you the depth of who you are. So, along the body of water, the question that Duncan had asked, the third question, um, Milka said ocean, and the ocean reflects our consciousness. It's the depth at the very, very bottom of that ocean, at the very, very bottom of our consciousness. Stillness, soundless, just that. And that's love. Consciousness, love, it's the same thing. It's, just a different way of expressing it. Those were pretty awesome questions, Duncan. And I stick by my answer that maybe I do need a padded room and the straitjacket, but not in a bad way, because you're doing something right if society views you as being a little off, as long as you are behaving in a manner that behooves you. And when I say behoove, what I mean is you're the true you, the essential you, your truest self. That your truest self, when you're in touch with it, isn't going to harm anyone, isn't going to attack anyone, isn't going to persecute anyone. So to be true to yourself, when I say that, it means way, way deep down, your truest self, the self that you discover through a life of yoga. And when I say yoga, I don't mean hatha yoga, I don't mean stretching, although that's certainly part of yoga. I mean the original term yoga, union, or connection with the divine. Yoga at its very, very deepest level means that we have breached the appearance of separation and we know ourselves as God. Know ourselves as God. That's obviously an important thing to know. And we quickly forget it. But in Zen, they call it a satori, instant awakening. Just this flash of awareness of who and what we are. And when that happens, when we really see, we are experiencing yoga. It's already here, already happening. But that life of yoga certainly helps us remember. For some reason, my screen on my computer just jumped, and it went from my blog, which I thought about reading, right to YouTube, and it is what it is. Lewis, his burpee channel popped up, so it's a good reminder for me not to forget to check it out. Duncan says the third question is supposed to reflect your feelings towards death. Interesting, especially as it sort of does reflect some positive qualities to me quite a bit. And my thoughts of death have certainly, um, one, have been a pretty intimate process since my father passed away. Not just that my father passed away, how he passed away, when and where he passed away, um, and that it was such a quick, from good health, from getting around on his own strongly, working out daily, to one day his legs giving out, and within a month being in a wheelchair, within 2 months, uh, difficulty moving at all, still getting up and walking every day with help, still getting up and walking. And then within 4 months, I guess, or so, um, he was hospice care at home. And I was um, his caregiver. And I was with him in the room when he passed away. Um, he actually woke me. Well, I wasn't quite asleep, um, but I was in the process of falling asleep. He was in a hospital bed on a different floor. He had a button to press if he needed anything, and yet he didn't press the button. But I heard him moving, and I could feel that he was uncomfortable. Um, so I went downstairs, and of course, as it was typical of my father, his first words were, "Gus Gainsborough, how are you?" Um, I had answered a series of questions, Gus, from Duncan, Duncan Walsh. Really insightful. If you scroll up ahead, um, interesting questions to ask yourself and consider, and the insights that they provide. I appreciate Duncan asking them. I was just now talking about my father passing away. Um, let's see. Duncan says the second question about water, um, supposed to be your uh, attitudes, feelings towards sex and reproduction. And I think I said motion as one of my favorite. Uh, so I'll stick with my answer. Um, certainly. Uh, I guess you can have sex without motion, but, you know, you guys try that and let me know how you like it. Um, so, yeah, one of the insights, Gus, that Duncan had got me thinking about. One of it was uh, death, and that's where I was talking about my father and how my attitudes towards death have continuously shift, as they should. We should become more and more open to the possibility of our own death, as well as the death of others, and what it's capable of teaching us. That being right there with my father, and again, I had mentioned, his some of his very last words to me were, "I hope I didn't wake you. Why are you up?" Said very kindly, as he normally said everything. His first and last thoughts were, "I didn't do anything to put you out," which of course he didn't. And I was able to let him know that. I was able to be there with him. I was able to hold his hand as he passed away. Mocha says no, and that is to answer the question about motionless sex. Um, and as Duncan says, you did say a feeling of safety also, which is true as well. Um, sex, sex is yoga, and as I mentioned before, yoga means divine union, union with the divine. And when we enter sex, it's a sacrament. It is the joining of the appearance of two people, but it's only appearance. Um, let's see. You like little kids laughing my ass off. Um, yeah, I guess that's funny to you. Um, So, death, Carlos Castaneda said that death is our greatest teacher, always present, ever present, on our left hand side, always waiting to tap us on the shoulder at any moment, and we never know when. When we realize that, when we realize that I almost said sex is our greatest teacher. Um, and sex is a very great teacher as well. And if I can remember to swerve back there, um, I'll talk more about that. But when we realize that death is our greatest teacher and is always present, ready to tap us on the shoulder, a large amount of our self interest is dropped. How can you take your imposition of the situation you find yourself um, seriously, personally, when you know you're about to die? If death is about to tap you on that shoulder, do you really care if you're waiting in a long line in a supermarket, stuck in a traffic jam? All of that's put aside instantly. If somebody, uh, silly comment from kid talking, trolling on our conversation, is that really so important if you think that death is about to tap you on the left side and take you back? Just you shrug it off. You don't even shrug it off. It doesn't even register. Um, you know, ridiculous. Now, if you can't smile, um, uh, Yoga Uncle Burpee loves Camus, The Absurdity of Life. The absurdity of life, it's only absurd in the face of death. So we welcome that. And I agree with Mocha about ignoring it. Comments like that, don't even read it out loud. The only problem with not reading it out loud is I generally look at the question and I read it out loud, and then it registers that, it was a stupid comment. So death being our greatest teacher. I'm going to circle back to the where I had almost said sex being our greatest teacher. Sex and death are entwined, interlinked. The process of becoming form, death is the process of giving up form. The Buddhist Heart Sutra, as oft quoted by me, every single talk, emptiness is form, form is emptiness. It doesn't say emptiness becomes form, form then becomes emptiness. It says emptiness is form already, right now. The table that I continuously pound on to make a point is 99.99% open space. Spaciousness, appearing as form, allowing me to go like this. And yet, it's not solid. It's an illusion. The only thing that keeps me from being able to stick my finger all the way through this table, I was about to make a martial art, my ninja death touch, but the only reason in actuality that I can't put my finger through a solid table is my belief that it's solid. But in reality, ultimate reality, it's 99.99% spaciousness. Not only between every possible cell, every possible molecule, but the atoms themselves. The space between atoms is infinity. The space within the atom is just as infinite. So emptiness is form, form is emptiness. Sex coming into being is death. It's the death of formlessness into form. Death later in life at whatever stage, everything becomes because of death. Death itself is that release of form, and yet at the same time, it's being born back into formlessness, back into the particles, back into that spaciousness that's found between each particle. Rilke says, ninja death touch to an inanimate object. that may end up being a blog post sometime. Uh, Earlier today, Mocha had witnessed my Shotokan karate skills, which consist of me doing a forearm block and saying Shotokan karate. Um, that is the um, that's my demonstration of Shotokan karate. Haven't taken it once when I was, I think, 8 or 9 years old. However, it did lead to a lifetime interest into exploring different martial arts. Not quite staying long enough in any of them to um, reach any level of mastery. I just like doing different ones, so I would stay in some for years and then go on to another, and um, I still enjoy it. But it's been quite some time since I've participated in martial arts. The last one being judo, which I shared that interest with Osiris. Derek Towers was also a judoka until he hurt his leg. So again, those were great questions, Duncan. Most importantly, because it allowed me to um, touch on these other subjects from, as you pointed out, what they relate to, relating to uh, death, relating to sex, relating to comfort. Um, I would be interested, and if you read that or if you hear this later, what the first question in pet, what that is supposed to relate to. And of course, my pick was dogs, but it doesn't dismiss my love for any other animal that I have now or that I've ever had. Um, we've always had cats, we've always had dogs my entire life. So it's been, let's see, 37 minutes, and it's been an interesting conversation. I will probably wrap things up here and bring it in a tight 40 minutes or under, which seems to be a good listening point for a lot of people. Anything over 40, and not only, I guess, does it get repetitive, which it would for, maybe anyone who's just, talking out loud incessantly. Eventually, anything, I guess, can get repetitive. But 40, 45 minutes, between that 30 and 45 minutes seems to be that magic point where you've said what you said, and probably more than enough. Anything else, and I'm just filling in airtime. It's sort of like, and I talk about this fairly often, ego reps. If I hit 110 Navy SEALs hard in 20 minutes, do I need to, what do I need to add on? For me, ego reps is when I lose form and I just get the rep for the sake of the rep, and it's sloppy and it's ugly. Not necessarily a bad thing, because it can lead to something. But, I always go back to Mike Mentzer and his analogy of hitting a nail on a board. Once it's in, how many times do you have to keep hitting it? And of course, the answer is, I don't know. Do you enjoy hitting it? If you do, well, then just keep hitting it. So, what does Mike Mentzer know? I like that heavy duty approach, one set, one shot, one kill analogy. However, hell, I'm not bodybuilding. If you like doing reps, get your reps wherever you want them. At the same time, don't compromise form for the sake of just doing another. Not worth it health-wise. All right, on that's a good note to end it all. And I still bring it in under 40 minutes if I say goodbye in the next 10 seconds. So you guys have a good day. I appreciate the questions, Duncan, and I'll see everyone tomorrow for burpees and more talking. Take care.